let's play a game. What is money?
Might as well be an entry in a database.
Yeah. So what is money? Like if I show you this question, what is money? What's money, Blake?
To me, it's an economic store of value.
Is it?
Well, unless the government creates more of it arbitrarily, and then we have a problem.
How many people can manipulate money? Like here is all I can reference money down to today. Like and I go economics, psychology, history, and business. Here's what money is, in my opinion. Medium of exchange. And it's a medium of exchange that is so fecklessly changed in every single stage of its operation that it's almost impossible to calculate definitively on where it's going to be in a month. Like, look what like these enormous, like powerful forces are doing. Like, look at the Federal Reserve. They have changed the way money works in the last 3 to 6 months. Look at the federal government. Like, and I find this so fucking hilarious. Like we've had stagflation, right? We've had raising interest rates and we've had raising inflation. Okay? That's stagflation. That was not really a huge phenomenon pre-1970s. Do you know why we have stagflation today?
Today specifically, I would guess we've been off the gold standard for a while, and a lot of that inflation is due to, well...
Where's that camera? There you go. Money. There's your heart. There's your heart. So yes, we removed the gold standard of money, bro. Like that happened in the 1970s under Nixon, okay? Now, we changed the gold standard of money, but we didn't change the way the Federal Reserve Bank works. Well, that's like me saying, well, Blake, you're a 22-year-old man, but you know what? In this era, it's cool to go trans. So let's cut it off and see if it works the same fucking way. It ain't gonna work the same way, dude. Like, it's just, like, shit changes. You have to change the way it functions. So in the early 1970s, we took away the gold backing for the dollar. If we change the way the dollar works, then as soon as you do that, you're gonna change the way that people work with it. That also created an encouragement for right-wing and left-wing politicians to do what? Print shitloads of money. It moved us to a more Keynesian economic model where inflation, especially low levels of inflation, like a 2% inflation, was a good thing, okay? The rich got behind it because they understood owning assets and they understood inflation benefited assets, and they also support politicians. And so they're like, yeah, sure, inflation, like, you know, it's funny, right? Well, once that happened, like, and history's funny too, because like Nixon, president, got impeached, conservative, scandals, all this, then this crazy, wild, eccentric left-wing guy named Carter gets in and rams through a whole bunch of print and spend policies, and then you get stagflation because, oh wow, does that kind of sound like Trump, got impeached, scandals, left-wing guy Biden, rams through all these policies, stagflation. And so now the Federal Reserve Bank says we better raise rates to slow down inflation, but they don't because so much money is pumped into the system. When the monetary system changes, what happens? Well, now manufacturers can borrow non-recourse debt. Distributors can borrow non-recourse debt. Retailers can borrow non-recourse debt, which means you raise the cost of money. Now it's more expensive to produce, distribute, or retail, and it's consumers using credit cards even buy the same products. So anytime you raise rates, you no longer go inflation, raise rates, deflation. Now you go inflation, raise rates, stagflation, 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 break the back of the economy. Oh, fuck, here we are. Then deflation. And, you know, your nice senior citizen mother or grandmother has to starve to death to realize that politicians don't know that, oh, when you change the machine, it changes the way it fucking works. And yet they still try to work it the same way they did before. So what is money? Nobody gets excited about money. They get excited about the shit it does. They get excited about the way you make it. They get excited about all that. So when I called you full of shit, it's not an insult. It's not an attack. Yeah. It's just I'm saying dig deeper, because when you dig deeper, you're going to find so much fucking more than money. Money's literally just a game. It's a measurement in a game that's a fucking joke of a game. We're all playing with monopoly money. In fact, monopoly money may at some point have more value than the US dollar.
Wow. That's a bold claim. Where do you see the landscape? Nobody's a Nostradamus here, but what do you think the highest probability path is going forward in terms of the dollar, in terms of the economy?
Look, right now, Right now, the dollar is going to stay strong for a while. Okay. Like for a while, it's going to stay strong because we still have the reserve currency, which means we can do anything we want with monetary policy, printing, borrowing, spending, and we can print enough and borrow enough that we can just send the entire world into a recession, and we can kind of browbeat everybody financially. And anytime you do that, the dollar is going to hedge better than, say, the yen or the yuan or the pound or the euro or anything else. Those are not going to do as well, and that's what's happening today. But no different than any other market. If one player that has a monopoly, which we do with our dollar right now, we have the oil dollar, we have the reserve currency, continues to use it in that way. And then if you study history, what is the history of all reserve currencies? Do you know? We're not first.
All reserve currencies, all fiat reserve currencies?
Well, all reserve currencies went fiat.
Well, then they all went bust. They evaporated.
They're gone. So here's how you do a reserve currency. Like, and different countries had reserve currencies. Britain had a reserve currency. I think Portugal at one point had a reserve currency. Like, I think France had a reserve currency. You can look at different reserve currencies through history. Google it. I don't have them all memorized, right? But they all seem to start with, wow, this country under this king or monarch or leadership or government or whatever is doing so well. Let's all use their currency for trade. Their currency is backed by this. It's really intelligent. Then eventually the government realizes, oh, wow, we have a lot of power. Hey, let's go ahead and step two, move away from whatever's backing us since everybody's following us. That'll give us even more flexibility to play with it. Then step three, they use that leverage. They expand. And it hurts everybody else around them. And then everybody else gets pissed. And then they switch and somebody else gets the reserve currency. This is happening right now, and we have something called blockchain technology. And dude, in the next 10 to 15 years, I believe, look at China with their Belt and Road project. Okay. America has connected a lot of the world. We've been very smart and stupid at points, but smart overall, strategically. We've connected a lot of the world. Like, we have connected North America, South America, Europe, the Middle East. We've got, lots of trade going on with Asia, India, China, etc. We've connected the world. But when we bet on China as a huge producing nation, as we went from kind of third world to first world, China became very powerful. That was a big mistake, us betting only on China. Like, had we mixed that up and said, hey, a little more China, a little more India, a little more here. Hey, let's go to Africa. They have a huge population in Africa. Instead of being one giant country that can become massively powerful, there's like 100 of them. And they've all got different diverse minerals and resource and natural wealth and everything else. Let's go pick up 10 fucking countries over there and like do a lot of trade and like lift that continent up. Right now, China's doing that because China knows that it's going to become that first world country. And when you go first world, your citizens become more bougie. They no longer want to make as much shit. And then you need, people somewhere else in the world to make that shit for you. So what's China betting on? Hey, you know what? We can improve Africa. We could become kind of that imperialistic country, do a Belt and Road project, create more trade, create better trade, improve these people's lives, and have them make cheap shit for us. Follow this logic. And since there's so many of them and they're all small, we won't create another China to rival us, just like America did with China. And now we're trying to repivot, and that's actually benefiting Mexico. And like, if you're wanting like a long game for the dollar, like, we'll have a dollar, but at some point, some cryptocurrency is going to figure out, how do we work with governments who are not going to stop taxing people? Like, this whole idea that crypto is good because you can hide and shelter your money. Okay, fine. But cryptocurrencies are a lot like the .com boom of the 90s. There's going to be winners. There's going to be losers. There's like 1,000 fucking cryptocurrencies. Mm-hmm. Having it to protect people from taxation is not going to be the main valuation when the dominant 1, 3, or 5 cryptos emerge. Okay? Having cryptocurrencies not interact with banks is also stupid. Like, there's always going to be banking. So the cryptocurrency to figure out, how do I work with banks? How do I work with governments and create this blockchain interchange globally is going to be the dominant cryptocurrency. And then you're going to see the American dollar, and this is probably in the next 10, 15, max 25 years, is no longer going to be the reserve currency. And we will have to live within our means at that point. Like, we can't just borrow and spend our way through every problem like we do now.